Welcome back to the Brad Rach vlog. Actually, did you vlog at all today, Rach?
I did not.
Welcome back to the Brad Rach vlog. If you're new around here, yesterday I started a project. We're putting our house on the market very, very shortly. This used to just be a black piece of crap, and now it is.
Not literally.
No, not literally. But now it has a little bit of a pattern and still black.
Yeah.
Which I'm a little surprised because I feel like our realtor, Susie, I don't know, I just see her as more of a...
Traditional?
Yeah, traditionalist.
Uh-huh.
But she really loved the Black Island.
The accent tied in the black hardware. She loved it. She loved those shelves. Thought they were great.
Which were matching shelves. So those shelves were going to match right there. Which we already... Did we already order them?
I didn't.
I don't know if your mom did or not.
Did you find some? I didn't.
I don't know.
Yeah. We were going to look to see if they made those in a wide shelf. And I couldn't.
Which I think you can just go to Menards and buy this.
Probably.
Yeah, we could buy that.
Let's buy it.
And we ordered a new refrigerator surround with a pantry cabinet on the side.
We got trim.
Well,
You already showed that.
yeah, I'm sure I did. That used to be a giant gap, although I haven't put it firmly in place yet. I was getting your opinion before I did that.
Yeah.
And I finished out that little trim piece. Now I'm finishing out this trim piece. The trick is going to be that little area right there. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to do the quarter round, do a 45 to match this one, and then do a piece that matches this right there. Now, who gives a crap about that? Tomorrow is a huge day.
It is a huge day.
Rachel's not feeling very good about it.
I'm fine. I had just a really tough day not feeling anxious about tomorrow. It's just me. It sucks. I hate being me.
Really?
I mean, on days like today, yeah, because I had a really hard time just like keeping it in check.
Yeah.
So Alice has her MRI tomorrow, and it's just hard. I've done a really good job just like not thinking about it until today, I guess. And I think I was telling myself that we can cancel it.
Which
We're
we
really
cannot.
doing it. I even like just today was like, can we just do it when we get to Georgia? Do we really need to do it? Doesn't seem like her eyelids even getting any worse.
Right, which hopefully it's not. So hopefully this is all just to confirm that there's nothing wrong and it's just a Bierman genetic lidtosis.
Yeah, but ours is bilateral. Hers is one. She was not born with it. It's come on.
Mm-hmm.
She has all these hemangiomas all over her body. And I guess the concern is that there's a hemangioma in her brain or her, like, it couldn't be in her orbit, but...
So treatment is a beta blocker, which she's already on anyway.
If it's a hemangioma,
I wonder if they would do anything else.
I don't think so. I think that's what her dermatologist was saying. But there's also something called FACE syndrome, PHACE, and that's what her neurofacial surgeon wanted to rule out. And FACE syndrome has vascular, like other vascular anomalies, I think. I haven't looked too far into it, but I think they sometimes have, like the diagnostic criteria for FACE syndrome is having more than 5 hemangiomas. Check. And in a certain location. It's like something about in the trunk and extremities or something.
Which she has.
Which she has. She meets that criteria. And then it's like one on the scalp larger than some number of centimeters. Check. Because she has the one on her head, which is larger than...
That's her biggest one.
Yeah, it's larger than the whatever the criteria is. But you need those two and one other something. I can't remember. Like she...
But there was varying degrees of face as well.
Correct.
So
If
just
she
because you're
does
diagnosed
have it,
with it doesn't really mean anything.
She could be on like the much more minor side of it. So all kinds of stuff going on around here.
Seriously.
Our video went live today about like us talking through my OCD thing, and that was like really hard to post.
Really?
Yeah, it was just hard. I mean,
Well, hopefully you're helping a whole lot of people because there's definitely a flawed system out there.
Right. I think that's the point, is that I went 35 years having really characteristic symptoms of OCD and nobody ever diagnosing me with it. So I guess the scary part is I've been treated for anxiety, which can make OCD worse. That's what sucks, is like this whole time I just needed a really specific type of therapy to kind of learn how to manage
what's going on in your head.
Yeah, what's going on in my head, and not a medication necessarily. There are medications that can help, but the ones that I'm on maybe make it worse if I don't also have anxiety. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're talking about Alice, but it just that also happened to go live today, and that was like it just feels vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah, well, especially when there's haters out there who...
Haters gonna hate.
How could you possibly homeschool when you have anxiety or OCD?
Yeah.
/ how could you be a doctor if you have anxiety or OCD?
Right.
Which just is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because you're a much better doctor than I am. And I have neither.
It's not true.
It is true.
Yeah, it's a stigma on mental health in general, but I think even more so with certain conditions like OCD. And OCD is super misunderstood. Even I misunderstood it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, you've really opened my eyes because I had just no idea about OCD at all.
Right. It's
because you think it's like people who lock the door and then lock the door and then lock the door and then check the oven, make sure the oven's off, and then check the oven again and make sure it's off, and then they lock the door and then they wash their hands, and then they do it again and again and again.
And have like these rituals that they get stuck in a repetitive ritual. Technically, you can have, so OCD stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. You have something that you obsess over, and then typically you have some type of compulsive behavior that you do to help yourself feel better about whatever you're obsessing over. And that could be anything, like cleaning, organizing. It could simply be keeping yourself busy and distracted, which is mine. So, and then what you obsess over, like what my therapist likes to say is that your OCD likes to attach to whatever you care the most about, because that's how it gets your attention. And so the better it holds your attention, like the better it succeeds. And so what holds your attention can change throughout life. And it's just kind of interesting to think back on my life and realize that I've had cycles of this that I've like broken free from on my own. And essentially it's like therapy for any kind of fear, I guess, or phobia. The therapy for it is exposure. And so that's kind of the same type of therapy that you do with OCD, is that you have what's called exposure response prevention. So you are exposed to your trigger, and then you have to try to sit with those feelings and not engage in whatever your compulsion is. Which for me is really hard because my compulsion is distracting myself, and I'm really good at it. So therapy involves exposing myself to something and then just like sitting with those feelings and learning that it's going to be okay. Like, I'm going to be fine. I don't need to distract myself to feel better. I don't know. And then that hopefully eliminates it, but there's always the potential for like a new obsession to pop up that I then...
What's it going to be next?
But once you have the skills that it takes to like overcome it, then OCD completely loses its power in theory. And I'm just looking forward to a day where I can wake up and not feel like really anxious over the things that I feel anxious over.
Yeah.
One of them is health. So when I have a baby that's having an MRI, I have a really hard time with like...
Well, and that's going to be super common. I mean, that's a trigger for anybody who's normal or normal. Who doesn't have OCD?
Normal, like me. Really
yeah, right.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It's just really hard to like. I'm not doing like full blown therapy right now. She's starting with things that are a lot like more minor when it comes to how uncomfortable it makes me feel. She doesn't jump. My therapist doesn't jump right into the biggest ones for me, but I know like what therapy will entail. So when I'm exposed to a trigger, in just everyday life, I'm thinking in my head, like, I know how therapy will go with this. Maybe I should be doing it now.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. It's really uncomfortable. So.
Good start.
I don't know. What's your? I do feel like I've noticed the difference though, because we talked on the video about how I decreased my medications when we realized that this might be OCD, and that the increase in my meds might have been making that worse. I think it really was, and decreased my meds. And already I was talking about in the video where my heart rate was gradually going up since October. It's already like made a dramatic fall.
Good.
Yeah. What's been your? You should talk, because I feel like a lot more people could relate to knowing somebody who has OCD than having OCD. I don't feel like it's, I mean, maybe it's more common than we think, but I don't feel like specifically OCD is super common as far as relating, but probably a lot of people could relate to you.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much.
Being the person that supports the person.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing. I don't really have much to say because it's all like, it's also brand new that we're still learning a lot about it. But yeah, a lot of it explains the way, you know, Rachel acts like she does, which to me, you know, it's just her personality. Like yeah, now she has this diagnosis of OCD, so it's great to have an explanation, but for me it's always been just kind of part of her personality, and it doesn't make me think of her any different whatsoever. And so I'll just support her any way I can, which, I don't know, maybe it's good that this kind of explains the way, like, some of the, I wouldn't say arguments, but some of the differences that we've had,
yeah,
especially like our parenting style.
Right.
So it's good to have an explanation for that.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's our huge vlog where we're taking Alice to the doctor.